Hi everyone, Pam Gregory. I'm going to be speaking to you today about the second half of September and in particular the lunar eclipse that we have coming up on the 16th. Now we have something very positive really running through the whole of September. It's exact during the third week of September. We have Jupiter conjunct the supergalactic center. The supergalactic center is between 1 and 2 degrees of Libra. And it's a massively powerful point in space around which many galaxies spin. It's a point of gravitation, it's a point of radiation, and it throws out enormous amounts of cosmic information. It's really like a stream of superconscious coming from the supergalactic center. So if you have anything at around 1 to 2 degrees of Libra, it has to be a conjunction, you might feel particularly sensitive to energy. For instance, that's one of the manifestations it seems to have. But with Jupiter being conjunct this, Jupiter the planet of wisdom, that we are going to be able, particularly around the time of the lunar eclipse on the 16th, to receive a lot of very high level information. So be sure to find ways to be available to tune into that. Now, not only is Jupiter in Libra, but also Venus is in Libra. Venus rules Libra, so there's quite an emphasis in Libra in this second half of September. And as I mentioned in the last video, Jupiter in Libra, Jupiter expands whichever sign it's in, and Libra is very connected, for instance, to the arts and culture and music. And we have another aspect, Uranus semi-square Neptune, and that is also connected to inspired art and music, a very rich kind of art and music and culture. And I mentioned last time we had that in the 1960s. So I think we'll see a lot of very interesting developments in those areas. And also what will be some strong themes, I think, going forwards. First of all, Jupiter in Virgo, we're going to have a lot of talk about fairness, what's fair and what's right, what's just. Themes of social justice are really going to be guiding principles, I think, as we move through society to rebalance things from the past. But I also feel I'm becoming increasingly intrigued by this Uranus semi-square Neptune aspect, because it's also about vibration. It's about frequency. It's very much about magnetism, and I think we're going to hear a lot about those subjects, because this aspect actually lasts through a lot of 2017 as well. And I think those subjects, those issues are going to come to the fore, not only in the form of technological disruptions. Uranus is that erratic electrical technological energy. Disruptions to our bliss, that's Neptune in Pisces, from cell phones, Wi-Fi, smart meters, but equally technological solutions to those issues, those disruptions to our magnetic field. New devices coming in. I think sound healing will become much more prominent. Vibration. And I think our awareness of the connection, the very precise connection with our own individual magnetic fields and those of the Earth are going to become a very powerful force in society too. There's a lot of recent research about this, and it's I think the ancient peoples always knew this, but this lunar eclipse is really about that whole theme, because we have the moon in Pisces, that's about the divine connection, opposing the sun in Virgo, our divine connection to the earth. So be aware of that and just watch how developments unfold with technology, with devices, and also with people wanting to perhaps remove themselves from that kind of EMF pollution and finding other ways to achieve their bliss. But it's also, as I mentioned last time, about finding technological devices that can boost the amount of light we have in our bodies too. So there's some interesting polarities around that whole aspect. I think it's very rich and very interesting. Then we have the lunar eclipse at 24 degrees 19 of Pisces. We have it on the 16th of September. It's at 12:05 p.m. Pacific and 8:05 p.m. UK time. Now, a lunar eclipse is always like a super big full moon. So this is a cycle of closure, completion, fruition, culmination. And see where 24 of Pisces falls in your chart. See where this is really shining a light for you. Because a lunar eclipse, and any full moon, but particularly a lunar eclipse, will often reveal something that you were unaware of before. And that can help to guide your direction going forwards. And anyone with any planets or angles between 22 and 26 degrees of the mutable signs, those are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius and Pisces, will very much feel this lunar eclipse. It's also about release. At any full moon, but particularly lunar eclipse, it's about just releasing. And there's quite a strong theme of that for other reasons I'll explain in a moment. But it really does to shine a light on a particular area of life. So see where is being highlighted for you at 24 of Pisces. Now, at this lunar eclipse, the sun and moon are always opposite each other. And they are both tightly square to Mars at 23 of Sagittarius. So this is quite dynamic, this T-square. Now Mars in Sagittarius is the truth warrior, the spiritual warrior, someone who really fights for their beliefs, fights for their religious ideology too. Sagittarius is very connected to that. But for us personally, this is really asking ourselves if we are now fully walking our truth day to day. Are we truly living an authentic life? Because the closer your day-to-day life is to the values you really hold high, the better your life will work. So it's really asking that question. So Mars is strong at this lunar eclipse. It's also strong because Mars is moving very quickly through Sagittarius. So see where 23 to the end of Sagittarius falls in your chart, because that could be an area that becomes quite busy and activated through this second half of September. Mars is also strong because it's trine to Uranus and Eris in Aries. And in fact, the trine to Uranus can be a very positive aspect that's exact on the 17th of the month. But it can, if you see where Mars falls in your chart at 23 of Sagittarius, the trine to Uranus can show you new ways of doing old things, shedding new light on ways that you can activate that area of life, wherever that falls in your chart. On the 19th of the month, the moon comes into Aries to conjunct Uranus and Eris. So that is, again, strong energy. That's exact on the 19th, as I say. It's potentially quite impulsive, quite impatient, even quite assertive. So do take a breath. Do step back if you feel yourself getting caught up in some quite aggressive energy. And so the strong yang energy at the time of this lunar eclipse, I think it's worth mentioning that if you look at the astrocartography, which is where the planets would leave a shadow across the Earth, if you were looking at their planetary positions at the Earth, then Uranus and Pluto are both angular over England. Uranus is on the ascendant and Pluto is on the midheaven at the lunar eclipse. So that might suggest some quite transformational developments for the UK at that time. So very strong, active Martian energy. But equally, we have an extremely feminine side, sensitive side to this lunar eclipse, because the moon is in Pisces, 24 of Pisces. It's conjunct Chiron in Pisces, and this is just so sensitive. It's almost the existential wound, or having such sensitivity around an old original wound that you almost can't go there. You almost can't look at it. But equally, Chiron is the shaman. Chiron is the shapeshifter. Chiron enables us to get a different perspective and really release that old energy. So here is something else that's feeding into this theme of releasing the old. Chiron is about forgiveness too, not only forgiveness of others, but forgiveness of self, because we well know that anything we don't fully forgive becomes physically lodged in our cells and bodies, and it's very unhelpful for us energetically. So really have that feeling of release. So if you can use tapping, use meditation, have some healing, energy healing of some kind, round about this lunar eclipse will be a very, very powerful time to do that. Lunar eclipse, remember as well, can be a reward for work you've done. I think that's important to say. Something you've built up to, effort you've put in that comes to fruition, and you get your pinnacle, you get your reward of some kind. But it's very linked, eclipses are very linked to accelerated development, where often things will come out of the blue quite unexpectedly to jump you back onto your life path, your path of destiny. And there's quite a feeling of speeding up at the time of the eclipses, particularly with Mars so strong. So be very aware of all of those things. Astrology gives us conscious awareness of underlying patterns in the universe, and that's how it's so helpful. Other things in this second half of the month, we have Mercury going direct on the 22nd of the month, and that's at 15 of Virgo. So Mercury is retrograded through that second half of Virgo, back to 15. So see where that second half of Virgo falls in your chart. And if you don't know where that is, check out the link appearing above or below me, and that will take you to my store where you can buy a 2-part video series that will explain all the things I'm talking about here in terms of how they relate to you, your birth chart and your life. But this second half of Virgo, while Mercury has been retrograding, you will probably have been reworking, researching, reevaluating, going back over. Could be details, it could be working methods, it could be efficiencies. And then on the 22nd, when Mercury goes direct, you can move forwards with those projects and plans in a bigger way. For the whole of the second half of September, Mercury is trine to Pluto, and this is great for deepening the mind, great for deepening any research that you're doing. You can really go very deeply into subjects with this. And then on the 26th of the month, Pluto becomes stationary. And whenever a planet, a big one like Pluto, is stationary, its symbolism is magnified. So we could have issues of power coming up in the world, transformation, but particularly power on the 26th, and around a few days to either side of that. So watch in terms of developments in the world too. So be very aware of this sort of split between the yang and the sensitive surrender, the shamanic shapeshifter, the energetic release. It's so important as an opportunity round about this lunar eclipse. And there's a Sabian symbol, and the one for 24 of Pisces is the tiny island appears lost in a broad ocean, but its happy inhabitants have created a world all of their own. That's beautiful, and I think it suggests that really whatever hubbub is going on in the world, it is down to us to have our daily spiritual practice, to have our centre, to have our spiritual compass and anchoring, so that we can always find that place. And in particular, think of the things I've been talking about, our connection to the earth, our energetic connection to the earth, I think is going to become more and more important in our understanding as we move through the next few months, and indeed through 2017 too. So, a very rich time, September, a very full month. If you'd like more information about my book, my audio book, my free monthly newsletter, 4,000 to 6,000 words, my tutorial videos, just check out my website. And now, just to say also, I have a facility to download free birth charts directly from my website, plus a description of your birth chart, which I didn't write, but it is there. And so you can get the whole package of the birth chart plus the tutorial videos, all from my website. And that is pamgregory.com or www.thenextstep.uk.com. Thanks so much for listening.